Welcome everyone in this new lesson on Womp3D. Today we will look in detail at how our creations can be shared with other users on the homepage or downloaded as 2D renderings, 3D models, or videos. Let's start by giving a name to the project, a title from here. Then immediately below we can also add hashtags, so any label we want to give to our project up to a number of 10 hashtags. If we click here, we are suggested to the most current ones and categories to nominate it to Womp contest and events, like this one here for example. While if we simply want to make our project more visible in the home screen, we can start writing the subject of our creation, style, theme, color palette, or whatever we want. With this toggle, instead, we enable share in, that is, direct publication with others in the Share Your Womp channel, while the toggle below enables content blackout to a portion of users in case there is a content unsuitable for an audience under 18 years old. From here, it is then possible to choose the format in which our project will be presented, a square image, or horizontal, landscape, or vertical, portrait. Another very important option is to be able to choose the license, because from here we can decide the copyright settings. The first one is CC0, which means that our project will be open source, and therefore anyone will be able to copy it, modify a copy of it, and share it again. The second one is instead CC BY, very similar to the previous one, but we will be warned every time any of these things happen, and we will get credit for our work, as we will be mentioned as authors. Next, we have CC BY ND, with which others will not be able to make copies of our project, but only have the download of the render as we have decided it, and equally we will be cited and given credit. Finally, with all rights reserved, others cannot do anything with our project except look at it, like it, and comment. In fact, if we click here, once we have chosen all the settings, we will have the ability to view likes and comments we receive, and even add a comment from here. When a project is published, you can view it on the Home Discover page or in My Projects, but you cannot edit it. If you want to edit your creation, open the project, navigate to the menu, and select Unpublish. Once you have finished editing, simply publish the project as before. All likes and comments will not be lost. We can choose to review the project in 3D, and this is useful, especially to see other people's projects, and the same goes for the remix option, with which we can create a new project, but from this same one or someone else's, but only if the license allows us. And if it does, we can also click on these three dots and choose to export the 3D model or the image or copy the link. But we can also do the same thing from the inside the workspace. So let's go back and click on Remix to edit our project, and click this time on Export. With Download Image, we can download an image of our model in the location and with the lights we have already set. Then Womp will process the rendering in the background using its cloud computers, and the finished image will be downloaded automatically. We can click on the Resolution drop-down menu to select the desired output resolution from HD, Full HD, 2K and 4K, depending on the uses we need to make it of it later. To the right resolution box, you can select the file type for the render image. The default is PNG, so it is a file with compression without any loss of data, and therefore quality. And it is also a file type that supports transparent backgrounds. You can still choose the other alternative, the JPEG format, which inevitably involves a definite loss of data in compression to make the file lighter each time it is edited and saved again. Then click on Export and it will be done. We will have our image. For recording a video, just click on the Record menu item to start a recording on the workspace. There will be a 5-second countdown and then click Stop Recording when you finished. But the recording will still stop on its own after a maximum of 1 minute. When it's done, this panel will open up for us, where we can again decide on the resolution that will determine the length of the download file. The higher the quality, the longer we will have to wait, of course. After that, with smoothness, we can decide the smoothness of our video. In the technical, then we decide the capture rate or the frame per second, FPS, of our animation. With 24 FPS, you have fewer frames per second, but you have a better view of the details and textures in the video. It is recommended, however, not to use it in case you want to later render the video in slow motion post-production. In fact, 30 FPS is mostly used to be slowed down to 24 in post-production and is generally used for TV content or live streaming. Finally, 60 FPS is mostly used if you have actions or sport content on your hands, however with a high speed where every thousandth of a second counts, so you can slow it down to 24 or 30 for extremely smooth and quality slow motions. For all three formats, it is possible. Then we move on to the video format, which is by default MP4, which is the most common one, with not excellent but still appreciable definition, also suitable for posting on social media, which however does not support transparency. In fact, if we see here on the toggle to remove the background is disabled. We can only choose to show or not show to hide the float grid. The second option is WebM, which is a much newer format, still compressed and smaller than MP4, developed by Google. It is not playable yet in all programs. Mainly we can use Chrome, Opera, Edge, and Firefox, and it supports transparency. Finally, we have the animated PNG, which has the same function as a GIF, the one you find also on WhatsApp. That is to combine a short sequence of images together to create a very small animation, and like the PNG, it supports transparency, also graduated, and a wide color depth for over 60 million colors. Finally, for all three formats, it is possible to increase the quality up to a maximum of 256, at the expense, of course, of increased export time. We can always click here and it will start the download by itself. Now, let's move on to downloading the 3D model, again from here, from above. Models created in Womp can be exported from 3D printing, animation, or games. The prerequisite to this discussion is the concept of a mesh in the creation of 3D files, which is nothing more than a mesh, a lattice of polygons into which the body understand consideration is divided throughout its footprint in space. So we have a distinction here between general use to stay in the realm of screens, where we are told that each object will have a separate mesh, or the other one for use aimed at 3D printing, where all objects will have the same mesh, but we are told that this feature is still experimental, and therefore we are warned that the mesh may not be perfect or may even be corrupted. Where all objects, we can also choose the quality here, which will determine the accuracy of the mesh, especially at the most articulated points of our bodies, always increasing it at the expense of timing up to a maximum of 200. The file type is also important here. The 3D model can be exported as OBJ or STL. The major difference between these formats is that the former, OBJ, can store so much information in addition to the geometry of the model, i.e. textures, colors, material data, and much more, while STL allows us to assimilate only the data related to the geometry, remaining certainly much lighter though. Once we understand the features that we want and that may be suitable for our proposals, we can click here to export the entire scene. If instead we want to export one object individually, we will have to create a new project that is a copy of the current one and delete everything else from the scene. Well, I will say that's it for today. Thanks for watching so far. If you find the video interesting, leave a like and a comment for any doubt or suggestion, subscribe to the channel, and if you feel like supporting us, you can also subscribe as a supporter to help us always create new content, and we will see you in the next video.